Hi, everybody. My name is Wendy Grooms, and I am a cosmic change agent here making this recording for you. Oh God, I'm already like I recorded this earlier and somehow I had two screens. Well, I know what happened. It just didn't record the slides. It only recorded my video. So that was like 4 or 5 hours ago. So here I am doing it like now really late and I'm kind of giddy. It's been a long day. So and here's my cat. She's decided to join me. So okay, so I made these slides today from some slides from the past, from a presentation I did a long time ago on EA Zoom. So people ask me all the time, when is life going to be less intense? They know I have studied astrology for a long time. I started really seriously looking at it in 1991. So it's been a long time. And then I studied professionally and I've been reading charts like the last 15 years. So, so I get these questions all the time. And also because sometimes I make comments about the transits. And so people wonder what's going on. Anyway, so these slides are the most authentic answer that I can provide. And, you know, I'm kind of like a culture doctor. I'm here to help create change, be a collective change agent to break up the status quo. That's truly what I believe now and kind of know. And thank you, Uranus, for igniting my solar, my solar purpose. Uranus is squaring my sun right now. And that this big conjunction Mars-Uranus, the North nodes in my 11th house. So here it is. And it's kind of cracking up the part of me that has been hiding for a long time. I've been, you know, dabbling kind of in the background for a long time and not putting myself out there on the internet and all of that. So anyway, it's cracking up in my Neptunian nature, and Neptune Pisces there can be a hiding quality to that, like want to be in the background. And I'm the Pluto and Virgo generation, so which I considered like Magdalene's soul kind of vibration and representative of the divine feminine. And look, and here's my cat. She's laying right here, like literally. Look, oh, you can't see her. Anyway, helping me. Don't hit the keyboard. Okay. All right. So, okay. And then this is just basically an overview of everything that I'm up to. I have a website. It's Venus oraclesofvenus.com, and I'm redoing it. It's kind of a little complicated, I think, right now. So I'm redoing it. And also we'll be calling it Cosmic Callings. The Oracles of Venus will remain, and I'll also have the name Cosmic Callings. So there's the website down here. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at Venus Oracles, excuse me. And I have a Patreon page, and I should have fixed this. Maybe I can get it before we get off of this and put it on here. I have 2 upcoming classes. Well, one, this is from a long time ago when I was doing a presentation on Anana with EA Zoom and with Linda Johnson. So I just saw that today and thought I would put it on there. This is a book that I'm working on, which may come out in the fall. It might not come out until the beginning of next year. It's kind of big and I'm trying to chunk it down. Okay, so yeah, 2 courses that are coming up in the fall. One is Venus rose light immersion. I really hope this is recording. I'm just gonna check because I just want to be sure. Yeah, okay. And so yeah, Venus rose light immersion. There's something called the Venus cycle, and we are in the Capricorn overview cycle, which started in January of this year, and we're at the last part of the morning star phase, and then we'll pick up the evening star. My class starts in August, 21st of August. It'll be on Sundays. It's 6 classes, 5 months, so it's not a lot. And a lot comes with it. You'll get a personal Venus reading if you sign up for the immersion course, and then there'll be a bunch of slides, and there'll be an excerpt from my book, which has Venus in it. I mean, Venus is a big part of the book. And a lot more. All the information's on the Patreon page. And I'll talk a little bit about the Venus cycle at the end of this presentation. And then a bunch of my local friends and colleagues talked to me about doing a local class, just the basics, which I've kind of done before. But anyway, that's also 6 classes, 5 months. That'll be on Sundays also from 1 to 2:30 p.m. That also begins August 21st. It's the Astro Basics and Cycles. So it'll be the zodiacal wheel, elements and modalities, houses and planets, archetypes, and some basic cycles. So you can get more information on my Patreon page, or you can just, I'll post all this on Facebook and stuff, and you can find stuff there. Okay, so this is Pluto across the galactic center, which happened on December 9th of 2008. It was exact. So this is the presentation about that, but it's about now, and it answers this question. When will things be less intense? Okay, so there are 2 types of time. There is linear time. Look at the clock, check the calendar, make your schedule, all that. That's very 3D basic linear time. And then there's something called cyclical time or galactic time. And I'm just going to read through these slides, and then I'm going to ad lib to them. We are in a shifting of ages from the age of Pisces to Aquarius. This signifies a 25,920 year completion around the celestial sphere, what the Mayan called the end of time. Mayans were galactic masters calculating numbers of destiny versus Christ-based linear time, or time based in religion, when they shifted the calendar away from nature into linear time. And that information I got from the Mayan calendar from Jose Arguelles's book, which I read way back when I was into studying the Mayan calendar. I learned about the Venus cycles from Adam Gainsbourg, who I was studying with, and I was studying the Hieroschemos, Sacred Marriage, and the Sacred Feminine via Mary Magdalene. And the Adam's program back then was Sacred Marriage Astrology before it became Soul Sign. And his background is Mayan astrology, shamanic astrology, and he incorporated EA into all of his work. And that's what I was like. I had been looking at studying psychological astrology, shamanic astrology, or evolutionary astrology. Those were the 3 areas that I was very drawn to. And those are the 3 things really that were kind of moving my own soul path forward. So, so that, all kind of came together for me then. And that was also the Venus, we were in the Venus occultation cycle of 2004 to 2012, which I'll talk about later. Excuse me. So numbers, life can be symbolic, time can be symbolic. So the interpretation of the number 666 in gematria, which is relative to the union of opposites, it reflects, the number 666 in gematria reflects excessive force from the masculine principle, which calls for a required humbling, the wisdom to humble itself to bring balance rather than apocalypse, or rather than interpreting the number 666 as apocalyptic. So when we talk about balance, if you consider the yin yang symbol, and one side is masculine, one side is feminine, and if there's too much of one side, if there's so much masculine, the feminine is here, this is like a big imbalance. Balance is never going to happen like that. It has to work together. So the power principle is honored as supreme. This is collective culture. And its partner in consequence devalued, the feminine, and becomes a whore, bound in service to the solar principle. The community that is seduced and submits to the power principle of 666, worshiping and serving the empowered male principle, is characterized in Apocalypse and can be seen as the harlot who rides the phallic, who rides the beast. She represents that community or nation or even religious institution that submits to the tyranny of a dictator instead of joining the resistance to fight, or how I say it, to align with galactic truth, to be rid of it, be rid of him. That's from Margaret Starbird's book, Magdalene's Lost Legacy. Today, as we navigate the radicalness of our times, let's look at what shamanic astrologer Kayleen Castell calls a magical portal of time, which can be considered opportune, supreme, and or special. So what she's talking about, and the next slide will show it, and maybe I should just copy this and put it on the next slide here. Then it'll be easier. Okay. So the winter solstice point, every year, there's two solstices, 2 equinoxes. The winter solstice is the 20th or 21st of December, and it's at 0 Capricorn. All the solstice points and the equinoxes happen at 0 cardinal signs. So we're talking about Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So those are 0 points, and significant things happen at 0 cardinal points, especially the Aries point. Anyway, I'm getting a little, that doesn't matter right now. So the winter solstice point, 0 Capricorn, is conjunct the galactic center. What does conjunction mean? You see my chair? See this chair? Yeah. This, I'm like right on top of this chair. I'm like exact conjunction with this chair. We are merged. We are connected. Like we're so close. We're conjunct. So even if I was standing right here, I would still be conjunct this chair. And if I was over here, I would still be conjunct, but it's not as exact as me sitting right here, right? So you can have a conjunction either side. Every sign has 30 degrees, so it moves from 0 to 30. So to show you here, I got this image, and the next slide says where it's from. Okay, so this blue line here is the galactic plane. This yellow line is the path of the sun around it. Here's the sun. around the Milky Way. This here, this circle here, is the celestial sphere. What does it say? Plane, but sphere, plane, whatever. This is where the planets move around in our galaxy, okay? And then the constellations are what make up that celestial sphere and the planets, okay? I'm pretty sure that's correct. So right here is the winter solstice point, 0 degrees Capricorn. It intersects with this plane and this plane and this plane, the ecliptic. So the ecliptic is where the planets move. And then the celestial sphere is either it's the zodiac wheel basically in the sky. So here is that winter solstice point, and the galactic center is at 26.51 degrees Sagittarius. So it's in between the Archer and the Scorpion in the sky. And it's like right here. It's like right here. It's right next to where this is. So this is what we call a conjunction. This is what Kaylin Castell teaches. So for the last 70 years, or for 70 years, there's this window, this magical window, which the Mayans talked about. Or we could look at 144 years, 1926 to 2070. But if we look at 70 years, we're talking 1962 to 2034. Well, we're already at 2022, very close to this 2034. So it takes 1 degree to move, it takes 26,000 years to move 1 degree. So the galactic center point or the winter solstice point, they're going to move very, very, very slowly. So that 26,000 year cycle is the completion of one age and the turning of a new age. That's what the Mayan calendar was about. It was not about the end of the world. It was about the end of a time. And we can see things have really changed, right? Okay, the galactic center. Our solar system is just one of hundreds of billions of similar solar systems that form the swirling disk of our Milky Way galaxy. We live in our galaxy's suburbs, and like our neighbors, we hurtle through space under the influence of the gravity of all the other stars, gas, dust, and mysterious dark matter, that together form the galaxy. In the very middle of this gravitational whirlpool is the strange region known as the galactic center. And this is where I got that quote from coolcosmos.edu. And then this image and the image on the previous page I got here from physicsforums.com. Okay. This is just another way to look at it. And these show the equinox points rather than the solstice points. Okay. So, and this is not an astronomy class, so I'm just like sharing information here. Okay, the symbolic Ethernet and cosmic downloads are, this is from Philip Sedgwick, his CDs, The Soul of the Sky Galactic Trilogy. And he's got a really cool website, so you could check him out. Our solar system spirals and pinwheels its way about the powerful center of the galaxy. The sun maintains the same relationship to the galactic center as the Earth does to the sun, and emits a wide array of powerful radiation, most notably infrared. Okay, symbolically. Everything's symbolic in astrology and can be very, very literal. Symbolically, this infrared energy pressures the subconscious mind, providing the release of learned behavior and memories, both negative and positive. all in the interest of moving forward. It's an actual defrag, the way a computer defrags, where you clean up a computer, where new emotional experiences may now replace previously retained ones. Very similar to how the chakra system works, right? I'll get into that later. Basic cosmic download, the mental barriers to understanding new ideas, receiving insight, or just plain old getting it gracefully yield under this influence, especially with transits to the galactic center, or if you have planets there, you're like an open channel, open receptor. And I, of course, my ascendant, descendant is on the galactic center. The link between the cosmos and the natural world, the Egyptians believed the galactic center to be the cosmic womb of our galaxy. Its force is inescapable, though when we are embodied and awakened, we have direct access to galactic consciousness to receive or harness, and we are able to turn on our X-ray vision, our receptors. I love my little lion on the planet. See, here we are, and all this, we're getting emissions from our solar galaxy. Okay, so in 2006, I was doing all those studies that I mentioned, plus I was doing a lot of, I'm also an animal communicator, so I was doing a lot of communicating with animals all over the country, and receiving downloads, and anyway, that's another story. But so throughout the last quarter of 2006, a collective palpable intensity moved right under our feet as the planet Pluto progressed towards the galactic center point of our Milky Way galaxy, 26 degrees, 51 minutes, Sagittarius. Many friends asked me what in the world was going on, and gratefully I was able to respond with some subtle energetic understanding. Then in December of that year, I experienced Pluto crossing the galactic center as reverberations of electricity rising up out of the earth into my body. The quakes looked like the glyph of Aquarius, and its power was quite destabilizing. I did literally have to hold on to the table. Bolts of lightning moved up through my feet into my pelvis, literally shaking me to my core. Okay, so Aquarius, this is the glyph of Aquarius. And I just kind of added all this in here at the last minute, so there's not a lot of info here about the glyph, but it reflects basically electricity, waves of electricity, or lightning bolts. What's her name? Margaret Starbird talks about it, the double M for Mary Magdalene. So the ruling planet for Aquarius is Uranus, and that's the more modern ruler. The ancient ruler is Saturn. And we can still like consider both, but it's an outer planet. Outer planets create collective change through generations of time. Pluto, Uranus, we'll talk about that too. So it creates radical collective change. So think the 1960s, right? Big radical change. Prometheus is also associated with Aquarius. Aquarius is the water bearer, and it is the air element, not the water element. So many people say to me, oh, I'm an Aquarian, I'm a water sign. No, you're not a water sign. It's an air sign. It's a very powerful air sign, fixed air. Aquarius is the sign of disruption, and it comes after Capricorn. So as we go around the wheel I get into the modalities. So you talk about Aries as the beginning, the initiation. Then you go to Taurus, fixed stabilization. Then you go to Gemini, mutable air. Like maybe you're too fixed. So we want to be able to have flexibility and change. And then it just goes around the wheel that way. So after Sagittarius comes Capricorn, and then Aquarius. So Capricorn, and in our culture, Capricorn is under the guise of patriarchy, and shadow, unless you have become completely sovereign. And Capricorn also symbolizes sovereignty. So Capricorn rules, limitations, 3D linear time, governance, the police, getting your water turned off if you don't pay the bill, like stuff like that. That's Saturn. That's Capricorn. Uranus brings sudden changes, shocks, likes to awaken others, sometimes not in a great way. They get like a thrill out of it. It represents the intellect, brilliance, genius, individuality, social reform, humanitarianism. Also represents elitism, and artificial intelligence. So the other outer planets, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron, which is a planetoid, which also Pluto can be, and the asteroids are really they're feminine consciousness change agents. And there's a whole bunch of them, and they're working hard. They're really helping us. I'm not going to get into that today. Okay. I should do these late at night. I feel very giddy. Okay. Natural law. Natural law is associated with Sagittarius. Ancient cultures aligned with the sky, venerating it as a source of wisdom and guidance to live by. Native cultures believed they were once star people. They knew the galaxy and its planetary bodies were alive, teeming with wisdom, including Mother Earth and her kin. Thus, they acknowledged and co-created with the Earth and her cycles. The galactic center is ruled by Sagittarius, the sign of natural law, and has connection to the totality of Gaia, of Mother Earth. This quote here that I have, this note here, is from the Nature of Archetypes PDF from Mark Jones from his Pluto school, astrologer in England. The old Daimon referred to connection of human consciousness with every other form of consciousness of Earth. Christian perversion into the word demon, hellish distortion of nature to man-made laws. In evolutionary astrology, we talk about the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces as daimons. And that's also for another topic, but meaning very connected to nature and nature beings and animals. For thousands of years, humans have been directed and regulated to operate within the third dimension, ignoring the feminine impulse, ignoring creative potentialities, in fact, denying the multisensory, sacred, and divine qualities within all life. As we continually adjust to the impact of the first quarter Uranus-Pluto squares that occurred between 2012 and 2015, escalating the collective evolutionary unfoldment of the 1960 Uranus-Pluto conjunction. Think about what happened in the 60s. Very, very radical. Uranus and Pluto were conjunct. And in 2012, they created a first quarter square right here. It would be right here. First quarter square. So first quarter square is about taking action, resisting, taking action. What do we do? Resistance. But it creates a conflict. You have to deal with this. If you're driving in a car and you're coming along and someone's coming this way, you're either going to collide or somebody's going to stop and you're going to work together. Somehow you're going to work it out. You got to work it out, right? So, okay, all the other outer planet dynamics since then, we walk the precipice of the destabilization of the concretized industrial age. Extreme distortion, creating imbalance via patriarchy. So the time that we're in now, moving from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age, really is represented by these outer planets and how, I mean, all the planets, it all works together. It's not one without the other, but these outer planets are big players. there's more, I'll get into that, but I should say it now. Pluto in Capricorn, which we're coming into the last degrees of Pluto in Capricorn over the next year and a half, 2 years, has a lot to do with breaking up how entrenched and concretized we are, how crystallized we are in the patriarchal constructs. And to make those changes is going to take significant change. Many people are already awakened, living very sovereign in body, mind, spirit. They're not caught up in patriarchal limitation, patriarchal constructs that were implemented via religion, government, medicine, all that stuff. I get into that in a little bit, but anyway, I'm getting off track. Not off track, but ahead of myself. Okay. When we deny the wisdom bestowed to us from the natural cosmological world, we forfeit the means to evolve consciously with awareness. There is the illusion in the collective materialistic mind that we are evolving via technology and body, but it is a bypass to natural law, the natural law technology available to us via our intuition, our knowingness, the gnosis. And really the marriage of science and spirituality is happening. We are on the verge of that. That's my cat. Okay. Okay, the shadow of Capricorn. This is the shadow of Capricorn, patriarchy that has been in dominance for close to 6,000 years. What are you doing, Ava? When we operate or take action prompted by patriarchal conditioning, we fortify it rather than unwind from it. This doesn't mean don't take care of yourself. It means how can I align myself with evolutionary consciousness, the universe, and how it wants to support my heart and soul's desires to prosper forth. When we become depressed and feel futility of the times, we give in to the collective fears that still dominate. And it can feel like a heavy, wet blanket, like laying over top of us. And that tends to happen when the moon's moving through Cancer, or it's in Aries and it's squaring Pluto. There's certain timings that it feels heavier than others. And there's lots of reasons for that. This chart is from the Once and Future Goddess. And I put this together. I took mythology in like 1999 and we read this book. And, it's like thick, so you'd have to read through it a lot to get the info. And then I added the astrological ages down here. But if we look at this, we can see, pre-dynastic Egypt with Isis and Osiris. That's 4000 BCE. That's the Taurus Scorpio age. Each age has a sub age. So if it's the age of Taurus, the sub age is going to be Scorpio. And then we have Malta, 3500 BCE. And then by 1000 BCE, we have Moses and monotheism starting to emerge. And these goddess cults and earth-based cultures were starting to get suppressed. So Demeter, and then we have the birth of Christ here. And then, by here, 1300 CE, we have the witch burnings. And then back to the 1800s, we have the reemergence of the goddess. So goddess, then monotheism, a lot of suppression of the feminine, and we're still rising up out of that. So here's the thawing of the Ice Age, which was the Leo Aquarius age. The goddess cult's earliest inklings of patriarchy, that was the Cancer Capricorn age, that was 8000 BCE. So since 8000 BCE to where we are now, that's almost 10,000 years of suppression. Okay, through here. So it's just starting, here, it's real, by here, Aries, Libra age, we have war, the birth of Christ, the Pisces age, which we're still in really on a lot of levels. Officially, they say till 2060, but we are on a trajectory and it's fast moving to the future. And your power is in the now. So I'm pointing this out here, Aquarius, Leo, humanitarian cyborg age, 2060, right? So to have as much consciousness and power that we can have, and I'm not talking about power over others, I'm talking about real, authentic power, which means your heart is open, your root chakra is open, all your energy is coming up through your body, your heart is the bridge into your upper consciousness and up to spirit, right? All the way up, so that you can receive from Mother Earth, Father Sky, from heaven, from below, from the core of the earth, so that we don't turn into these cyborgs. And I'm not talking about vaccines, I'm not talking about any of that. So don't make a judgment about any of what I'm saying. I'm talking just realistically, any of this could be a possibility if we do not honor natural law and who we are as humans and being humane to each other and to the earth. Okay. How did I lose my place here? Oh, there. Okay. Okay, so this experience I had was an initiation, I believe, for our collective initiation, a collective initiation to a new world, making way for our galactic souls to awaken, even if it takes us decades. As the intensity settled, the energy shifted into a vibrant, dense infinity symbol. The message was filled with a sense of extremes and bliss. I felt it was the goddess, the feminine principle, stirring at the very core of the universe, birthing herself in new form. Okay, hand in hand in balance. Remember I talked about yin and yang, right? The goddess stirs at the very core of the earth now, having crossed the galactic center of our galaxy. Who better to guide our return than the matriarchs of matriarchs, the Empress herself, Capricorn. And I will say we are in the Venus Capricorn cycle this year, all about taking your ancient, authentic, feminine, wild wisdom, wise wisdom, to kind of break out of these crystallized patterns. Capricorn rides in the powerful vessel of Pluto, the goddess of the underworld. Together they form an active partnership of feminine autonomy, modeling for a culture that has lost their feminine honor. The time has come to turn the tide towards the feminine and to teach balance, so we may walk hand in hand and rise up to invite the misled masculine into his true form, his divinity, not his dominion, his divinity. We are on our evolutionary way to the development and establishment of new laws and new labyrinths for sustainable, resourceful, and responsible living on Earth. And to get there, we have to move through our own stuff, all of us, and collectively. There's so much to break through. And I just will say this from my heart, there's so much polarity. And of course, we all have opinions, but when you meet someone face to face, you can actually, if you can make the connection, we don't have to be so far apart. There's a bridge. We can always build bridges. Okay, I'm a bridge builder. Okay, Capricorn is the oldest, wisest of the earth elements around the astrological wheel. Yet for thousands of years, the Capricorn archetype has been held captive under the influence of patriarchy. Capricorn is internal, primal, feminine, yin, deeply sexual. On her own, she is a supreme commander, manager, and authoritarian. Yet the old guard holds tight to abuses of power in religion, government, big business, medicine, and sexually exploiting cultures and the underdog, like underdog meaning third world countries. Saturn is considered the father of time, but who kept time in the ancient world? Nature did. And what's aligned with nature? The feminine. The function of Saturn in modern culture has been expressed through excessive domination, authority, since culture was dispossessed of its, forget that line, it's down here. It's on the next page. Okay. The shadow of Capricorn takes on the role of dark Eros because our back is turned on the feminine. I'll just move this right here. Back is turned on the feminine. When the matriarchs ended, patriarchal peoples, male-dominated cultures based on the breeding of women and animals took over. That's from Diane Stein's book, Women Are All Healers. Exploitation encourages addiction and fuels aggressive, unconscious masculine to further suppress true empowerment for us all. Okay, this is about the dark goddess. I don't really need this in here today. It's probably too much, but the feminine principle has many facets and is linked to the galactic center point, the cosmic womb, right? The galactic cosmic womb, which is mysterious and dark. There's a deep, fierce quality to the dark goddess. And the reason I talk about the dark goddess, and we in the West, we're not raised with the awareness of the dark goddess because death and rebirth and anything dark, everything about the deep feminine or the wild sexual feminine, all suppress. Everything's all pretty and nice and all covered up. You know, everything's all holy. So even your bloody menses and all that stuff, everything gets hidden. Well, every woman, every girl, young woman should have the power of the dark goddess and have been initiated into her power because she will protect you, like really fierce. Deep, fierce, unafraid of exploring every crevice, cave to uncover what's hidden, death, birth, regeneration. She's generative, turbulent, ferocious. I don't know why I put wicked in there, but I guess, you know, if you want to think about the weather and the earth and nature, you know, tearing everything apart, you know, it can feel that way, wicked, right? Okay. This lives within us all. Pluto and Capricorn, we must move through and reclaim the true nature of feminine earth. So this is Kali, Hindu goddess of death and birth, regeneration. And this is from Warrior Goddess Training. As you begin to love yourself, you will find that pain and suffering are only warning signs that you are living against your own truth. Okay, reclaiming exploitation. I already read that one. Working consciously with the divine feminine, very helpful now. Empowering for souls, walking the path of the sacred feminine, especially as we move through the chaos of now. This is Durga. She's like the sister to Kali. She's a little more gentle than Kali, but Kali and Durga, the Black Madonna, and Mary Magdalene, and there's many more. We could add Iris up there and Lilith and okay. It would be a smoother transition from one age to the other if we collectively and consciously awakened, acknowledge the earth as a living organism. Relating in this way, we would know and feel within our hearts that we are one galaxy among many, and we would be less self-absorbed and more deliberate in our relationship with all of life. Hopefully the new James Webb images bring this truth home to us. Western culture encourages us to push through life, disregarding the responsibility bestowed to us to honor all of our relations and steward all life. Okay, this is White Buffalo Calf Woman. And you can look up that story online. True reflection of Capricorn comes in the form of the ancient wisdom keepers of native North and South America. The Empress has many names: White Buffalo Calf, Woman, Kali, the Snake Goddess of Crete, even Venus. She is written in the prophecies of the Condor and the Eagle and the Hopi prophecies. Pluto's highest expression is Eagle and the Dove. It can take the darkest aspect of our humanness and transform it into base gold. By the end of this year, I wrote all this stuff way back when. In 2008, Pluto will move into Capricorn permanently for the next 15 years. So we're almost to the end of that, and the next slides go into that. It was in late degree Sagittarius, and Pluto was squaring Uranus and Pisces, breaking down religious fallacies, corrupt governments, and opening us up to deep spiritual truths. So we were having all this expansion, Pluto and Sagittarius, Uranus and Pisces. It was like really, because we were in those mutable signs, the outer planets and these mutable signs, we were having these big, big expansions, because it breaks through the fixedness, right? Mutability, a lot of change. And those squares served us well, and it shook loose the hold religiosity and power-hungry businesses had on the collective. And even though that's still happening, there's a lot more, it all coming out. Like Pluto, when there's a bunch of gunk in your pipes in the kitchen sink, it's eventually going to get clogged, and it's going to back up, and all the crap's going to just come up and out. Well, that's Pluto. So you got to get a plumber, right? You got to hire an astrologer, or you hire a body worker, or an acupuncturist, or do your own meditation and inner work, right? You have to like engage with the process of transformation and let what is decaying and dead, you have to let it go so that you can continue to have life. And when we go through that death process, psychically, energetically, emotionally, we burn through that stuff and we rise up like the phoenix, transformed from the ashes. And we rise up and we turn into the eagle, and then we go into the dove. So it just depends on how far you want to take your own process. And if we would all do it, it would be a lot easier. Squares create stress and conflict, which I showed you before. And with two outer planets in the signs of truth seeking and higher consciousness, we are bound to see truth prevail. So it seems like not a lot is changing, but things are really, if you think, okay, my default example is always an addict. What do you think it takes for an addict to hit a bottom? It takes a lot. And when you hit bottom, there's nowhere else to go. You're either going to keep going, and which means death, or you're going to stop and you're going to change. And it's hard and it's painful, and people don't want to do it. That's why most people don't. People don't want to do the deeper work. So we are, if you think about that and apply it to patriarchy, to the world, we have addiction to money and food and sex and porn and TV and sugar and our egos and on and on and on and on and on. And to break free from that stuff really takes a lot of commitment and dedication. So even if it doesn't look like it on the outside, we are moving forward. Pluto and Capricorn will rise as the way shower for the earth herself, taking her leading role in stewarding us into honorable living among the earth and her inhabitants. Pluto, the soul, which is what we look at in evolutionary astrology, is deep. And if channeled in the appropriate direction, will reveal, like the lady of the lake rising out of the depths, all that is necessary for healing, no matter how gruesome or seemingly ugly This is why it is so important to embrace our soul's calling and knowing and transform our ancient wounds, our personal wounds and collective wounds. Okay. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn was 246 years ago. It might be 248. 1762, just before the signing of the Declaration of Independence and after the initial stampeding of Native American cultures. Built on the backs of African American slaves, American Indian blood, and Asian minority sweat equity, the United States of America flourished and became a world leader. 246 years later, here we are again, traversing through Pluto and Capricorn, but this time we cross the galactic center at the crossroads of an evolutionary 26,000-year cycle of climactic change. So it's a much bigger deal this time, right? It's not just Pluto and Capricorn like it was before. We're at a whole different crossroads. Okay, the next threshold from Pisces age to Aquarius. So this is the Aquarian Leo threshold. To begin again, to take a step across the threshold to a new global archetype and an evolutionary step forward is actually an incremental backward step through the procession of the equinoxes, the great ages of the planet Earth. That's from Erin Sullivan, astrologer Erin Sullivan, in an article she wrote, Neptune and Pisces, which I love that quote. So we are in the last phase of Pluto and Capricorn. Currently, Pluto is at 27 degrees. It's a retrograde right now. It's like it's like we're in this backward phase, which feels like we're kind of, it helps us to break free from its, the powers that be, so to speak. So this last phase of Capricorn includes the USA Pluto return, which is 27 degrees Pluto. So when they signed that Declaration of Independence, Pluto was in Capricorn at 27 degrees. Pluto will station direct October 9th of this year at 26 Capricorn and move back across the USA Pluto the second and third week of December, and then onward to the anaretic degree of Capricorn, which is 29 degrees. Any sign, any planet, any angle that we have at 29 degrees, you're getting the full throttle of the entire sign, the entire zodiac archetype. And it can be really jam-packed, powerful, because you're completing a cycle. So all that shadow, all the crap that's been suppressed down into this whole Capricorn dynamic, patriarchal dynamic that we've been dealing with for thousands and thousands of years, all that stuff is trying to come up, particularly being exposed in the West, right, with this Pluto return. We will be feeling the shadow and dark eros strongly. So aligning with our heart's desire. And then mid-February, that will be 29 degrees Capricorn mid-February. And then Pluto moves into Aquarius, March 23rd of 2023. That'll be the first time it goes into Aquarius officially for any of us alive on the planet now. We will be feeling the shadow and dark eros strongly, so align with our heart's desires, and true authenticity is the way through. The old pattern of work harder, fear more, obsess about things we cannot control will be rearing its ugly head. Stay true to your inner feminine guidance, to your inner intuition, to your knowing. This isn't really time to say, okay, especially with this Uranus-Saturn North Node conjunction coming, which I'll mention in a little bit. It's really time to break free from the stuff we give our power to. Then June 11th of 2023, Pluto moves back into Capricorn until January 21st of 2024, when it officially moves into Aquarius. So from March 23rd of 2023 to June next year we'll have a taste of the very beginning of Pluto and Aquarius. Okay. Okay, I wanted to add some charts in here, which I forgot to do, so I'm inserting this clip into the video. So this is the chart for the new moon on July 28th at 1:54 p.m., which is tomorrow on the east coast of the USA. So on the west coast, the new moon is 10:54 a.m. And in other parts of the world, of course, the planets will be in the same place, but on how they show up on the wheel will be different. And actually, like in Australia, today is Thursday, and today is Wednesday here. So they're ahead one day. Anyway, so okay, so basically this is the horizon. And you could say this is the Earth here. Okay, the center is the Earth, and this is our viewpoint from the horizon. Everything below the horizon is down here, and here's everything that's above the horizon. So the sun has already risen, right? It's almost 2 o'clock p.m. and the sun's almost at the very height of the sky. And the moon is exact with the sun right here at 5 degrees 38 minutes of Leo. So we have, you see these aspects, these are the angles between the planets that are reflected here in the chart. And so prior, what I wanted to show you, one, this is Uranus and the North Node, which is what I was talking about in the sign of Taurus. And here comes Saturn. It's at 15 degrees and it's gaining speed, and it will connect to Uranus at 18 degrees. And by that time, the node will have also moved to 18. So all three of these will be together at 18 degrees. And in essence, they are squaring this Saturn in Aquarius, and it's definitely squaring this Mercury in Leo. See, Mercury is 18, it's exact. There's a square here, and then there's an opposition to Saturn. So we'll be feeling all of that. Saturn is culture, outer authorities, basic society, the rules, the laws, and this is the change agent here, Uranus, the disruptor. So the new moon the new moon's squaring, it's not really squaring this, but Mercury is squaring it. Mars can end things, like it can cut away things. And it's also the initiator. It's a new beginning, a new cycle. And this represents also our collective financial dynamics that are happening in Taurus, and the opportunity for something new. Mars, as I mentioned, also represents war. So I might not have gotten to that slide yet, but you'll see that. So I just wanted you to have a sense of what these look like. Let's see what else I have on here. Let's pull up recently Venus. So you can see this is the Venus gate that I was talking about. So here's the moon with Neptune at 10 degrees. So that's what a Venus gate looks like. The moon is conjunct Venus. And what else? Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to look at the transits for today. It's current. So this is where we are today. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. So see, the moon is still in Cancer. It's separating from Venus, and it's moving into an opposition with Pluto. In essence, they really are in opposition, but it'll be exact in a couple hours. Let's see. So I'm just going to move the wheel a little bit. So here, okay, right here, Pluto's at 27.9, and here is the moon at 27:0 minutes. So that's on Wednesday, that's tonight by 8. So this moon Pluto opposition is building. The moon is our emotions, it's the collective. Pluto and Capricorn, as I mentioned, is this dominant power that is trying to hold on to everything, but Pluto's trying to squeeze it all out so that it can break this pattern up, this collective pattern up. And anytime the moon comes into an opposition, or what we call a T-square, which would be over here, like Uranus, this is Eris, this is the asteroid Eris, the disruptor goddess. She's been squaring Pluto exactly for a couple years now, and she still is. It's only a 2-degree difference, and Pluto's moving backwards. It'll be at 26, so it'll actually square it pretty exact. And then the moon is squaring it. And then when we have any placements in Libra, it would also be squaring it. This is a square here, see? So Mercury is squaring the south node. It's opposing Uranus. It's squaring this Mercury. Mercury is the way we think. It's our in Leo, it's very creative, wants to do its own thing. And you know, in square to Uranus, you could feel like all these ideas and all this incentive and do this, do that. And you can like kind of have this chaotic feeling, this energy. What do I need to do to be creative to help my survival needs and all of those different dynamics. So that Uranus is kind of higher mind consciousness. Mercury is our logic, and bringing the two together, it's like creating a friction that we have to address. And then Mars comes along and it's squaring that Mercury, and there can be some impatience, frustration, anger, or just real drive and intention to like, gotta do this. I'm going to forge this new way. I'm going to take this action. And you know, your mind is like trying to weigh it out. But with Leo, it's like, okay, I'm willing to take a big risk. So there's that. And then all that's being weighed against this Saturn, who's like the maturation elder teacher. So we ask ourselves, am I in alignment with my sovereign intention? Do I have a positive, good intention here? Or am I like giving in to fear, domination, submission? So there's all of that. And then I just want to show you too. So here we are, it's Wednesday, the new moon's tomorrow. So the moon right now, by tonight at 8:30 Eastern, that moon is opposing Pluto, it's building. And it can always bring up our deep fears. Cancer is looking for a sense of security and comfort and family and home. And how do I keep it all together? And there's the housing crisis and money issues. And so all that stuff comes up for everybody. Okay, so then we progress the wheel ahead. So what we're talking about also here is, let me go back to this new moon. So here's the new moon chart, okay? Out here, right here. It's different because it's based on this chart time that, see, it's based on this time, and this outer wheel is over here now. So this moon is really what we call the dark moon, okay? It's before, it's like the pre-dawn of the new moon, but it doesn't feel like dawn. The dark moon is always like a dying, what's dying off before this birth comes, before this new light comes, right? Because the new moon, we've had the full moon and then 2 weeks to build to the new moon. So in between that full moon and the new moon, we don't see a lot, right? The moon is not, it's waning. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you can't see it at all. That's where we're at right now. So that new moon comes and it's just that little sliver in the sky. It's a new beginning. So prior to the birth of the new moon, there is this closure that's coming out of that full moon, right? And the last third quarter square of the moon, which was in Taurus, which I won't, that's just too complicated, but for right now. So just remember tonight and tomorrow, before the new moon comes in Leo, Leo's always kind of happy and bright. We're in a more serious mode. We're in that Cancer opposing Pluto mode, which is like this collective social crisis. Like, how can I be socially responsible and do my part and break free from all of the dross of society, stay true to my emotional content, work on my own womb needs, my own emotional inner needs. What does my inner self need? What does my inner child need? What am I most afraid of? Where am I feeling so uncomfortable that I'm willing to sit and eat for an hour or two in front of the TV instead of address it? Like all of those things, that's Cancer. That's the sign of Cancer. Or, you know, it can be your Scorpio stuff, your deeper unmet needs or painful stuff. Anyway, that's another video. So I just wanted to show you what that looks like. So let's just keep going forward here and I'll show you. So there's the moon. Now it's at 29 degrees Cancer. So that's about 1 a.m. So we'll be sleeping, most of us over on the West Coast. You guys will still be awake. So it's really building to the end of this Cancer vibration, the moon. And then there it is. It moves into Leo about 3 a.m., 3:30. And then it's building. It's still in that dark moon phase, even though it's in Leo. It's not fully birthed yet. So even by tomorrow morning, we still might be feeling a sense of heaviness, but the fact that the moon has moved into Leo will lighten things up. And then right here, there we have it. Like I'm off by a few minutes, but there's the new moon has birthed. So that's how that works. So just so that you can see that and have a sense of like what it all looks like on a wheel, on a chart. Okay, I'm gonna add this in and I'll see you on the next slide. Okay, so what we resist persists. Externally, it's easy to see where our suppression is. I might have to go back and fix that. I don't know. Anyway, externally, it's easy to see where our suppression is. Internally is where many of us need guidance into our deep psyches and into the realm of the feminine. And in aligning with our energy bodies so we can merge with higher consciousness and add to the elevation of the collective consciousness. To embrace what is being suppressed, we can ask ourselves, what are we avoiding? What knocks on our door, our fear door regularly? Feel it, work with it, transform it. This process facilitates the soul's evolution along its natural course and frees us from the baggage long needed to be unpacked. And many times we need help with that. And there are many ways we can do that, as I've already mentioned. Okay, so this is the Uranus-Mars North Node that I was talking about. Okay, Uranus, mega dynamic disruptor energy. Uranus is the disruptor. And disruption is necessary if something needs to break free to give it life, right? So Many times it's bringing the necessary change. It can be a shock to the underbelly of our culture, and all buried sludge can be coming out, and also shock to us individually. In Taurus, it represents finances, food, the weather, as I mentioned. And Taurus is also about feasting and pleasure in our bodies. And so, depending on where this dynamic in Taurus is happening in your chart, reveals a lot. And then, we can look at the chart of the USA or the chart of China or the chart of different countries, the chart of different alliances. And we can learn a lot about what's happening in the world. My desire is really more helping souls evolve, not so much about predicting what's happening in the outer world. Mars is about separation, right? Mars is like very one-pointed. It's a drive, right? It's symbolized by a circle and an arrow pointing, right? It's like, how do I do it? I can't do it. A circle and an arrow. So it's like a phallic symbol almost, but it's single pointed, right? It's got a drive to go forward. There's a lot of vigor, and it represents sexual impulse and desire, masculinity, separation, and violence and war. It also represents cars and driving and road rage. So the two together, Mars and Uranus, pretty radical, right? Like my cousin, I just saw that my cousin went skydiving the other day. That's very much Mars and Uranus. Like that's a big, wild thing to do, right? I know a guy with Uranus Mars conjunction in Leo, and he's pretty radical. He's like really independent. And it's in Leo, so he's like all about learning to love himself and do all this like really cool stuff and like surfing, and he's just driving fast and like what he used to do when he was a kid or younger, but just pretty wild, right? Radical. So this is the first time in many years that Uranus and the North Node are together. I think since like 1864. I don't know. I don't know what the math is. I put 170 years, but I'm not going to try to figure it out right now. Anyway, but for the first time in 2,300 years, I do know that Uranus, Mars, and the North Node haven't been together in that long. And traced back through time, it always represents an opportunity where a new technology comes out. So this could be a really opportune time to invest in new technologies like the chips that are needing to be that we're in need of. Okay, so going from Mars to Venus. So I want to talk about the Venus cycle a little bit. So back to the original thing, when are things going to slow down? So you have to realize that because we're on the edge of one age to another age, we're like in this big shift, big shift. And really in about 3 or 4 years, things are going to smooth out more. But right now we are in the height of some mega change and really significant planetary aspects. So the Venus cycles, I should have added this in here. Let me see if I have it. Do I have it here? Let's see. Maybe I'll do this. I'll just go up here really quick and no, it's down here. I'm just going to show you guys this really quick. Okay, you see this here? Here. Okay, this is the Venus star right here. these 5, I'm going to copy and bring it over. Copy. It's back. I'm going to put it right here so we can see it. Paste. Okay. So the Venus star, Venus, over a period of 8 years, she stations at these 5 points and goes around and around and around. And over time, this geometric rose star pattern, which I call rose light pattern, is created in the sky. So we're always receiving these downloads from Venus, this beauty, these roses from Venus. And the Venus immersion class, we're going to do a lot of work with that. So these 5 points, which many astrologers have worked on, and in my book, I refer to all of them. These 5 points are pretty stationary for about 100 years. And currently we're in this Capricorn cycle. It ends next January, and then we move into the Leo cycle. These are 19-month cycles. And then we go to this cycle over here, which used to be the Aries cycle. And in 2025, it moves to Pisces. It might even move a little bit before that. And then from that cycle, we move over here to this Libra cycle. And previously, the last 100 years, this cycle has been in Scorpio. And then we move back to the Gemini cycle. But these two right here, this is significant change because they have been in Mars, Pluto ruled signs, which are signs of war and excessive masculine. So October 22nd of 2022, this year, one of the Venus star points moves out of the Pluto Mars ruled sign of Scorpio into the sign of Libra at 29 degrees. That happens here. And this is significant because also by next June, I think it is, or July, we have a big square to the same degree for Pluto. So anyway, Pluto at 29 Capricorn. But that's, I don't need to get into that now. Anyway, this is significant as Venus is the planet of the feminine. And Libra is about balance. And Libra is an air element. And it's so air is masculine. And so a lot of people think Libras are all about balance, but Libra seeks beauty and harmony. Okay, seeking beauty and harmony, but they can be extremely out of balance. So, and that's clearly what we need on the planet. Libra is also the sign of extremes. So we will see more and more extreme dynamics unfold. And with Uranus in Taurus and the weather. But Venus, since Venus is the ruling planet for Libra, it's also about women. And these are all major invitations to wake up and to invest in transforming our stuckness, our own patterns of resistance to change, as change we will, because the only thing we can count on really is change, because it's always around. The more of us that embrace this inner journey of wholeness, the smoother we will experience changes in our external world. Because as above, so below, we're all connected, meaning all of the deep inner stuff, all of our deep inner stuff, all of this, the movies that we have going in our head, the projections that we have, it all gets created in our field. And the field gets emanated, and then we merge into other fields. And there's the field of the TV, and the field of work, and the field of driving on the road, and the field of being at home, and our field of worry, and our field of like all the everything, all that. So if we don't clean up this stuff, the debris that we have going. We walk around like Pigpen. We walk around like Pigpen, and we do our laundry, we keep our houses super clean, we're like super uptight about our lawn, all that stuff. But do we clean our own energy body? Do we clean our emotional body? We've never been taught to do that. We have never learned how to do that. We've been taught and learned and told to shut that off, turn that off, don't pay attention to that vision you just had, that knowing, that sense that you have. So there's always more going on than what we realize. So this timing, this October 22nd, 2022 is big deal. It's big because things are really starting to shift. And even though this Libra cycle doesn't officially start till 2026, it's already in the works. So we are like rising. Like when I first got into these Venus cycles, like really started getting into it and was working with Linda and Tashi on it. It was Venus and Aries cycle, really powerful. And then Venus later went retrograde in Scorpio, and that's when the Me Too movement started and all the stuff. Retrograde Venus, Scorpio. Venus, women, retrograde. Let's go back, let's retrace. Scorpio, everything that was hidden, stuffed in the closet, all the sexual, deep, dark stuff. All that stuff's been rising up, rising up, rising up. And this is not about me bashing men. I love men. This is about us finding balance. We are out of balance and we need more balance. And it's coming, whether we like it or not. Okay, riding the wave. Even if you don't resonate with what I'm writing now or what I'm saying, you most likely will, as events, transits, and eclipse over the next 2 years propel us to release soul traumas, fears, and embrace our true selves. Any resistance we may have in terms of transforming our patterns and our way of living is sure to come to the surface as we move along into these initial stages of the 21st century, riding the wave of the infrared light emanating to us from the galactic center point of our universe. We have choices. We can choose to awaken our inner healer, our inner shaman, and commune with ourselves and the world in a sacred way. Pluto crossing over the galactic center point offered us to awaken our galactic minds and souls in preparation for the coming times. Awakening and activating our inner shaman encourages us to meet our soul and spirit and take responsibility for our multidimensional aliveness and merge with it, empowered as co-creators, available to live in conscious relation beyond measure. Okay, let's just go back here for something here. Just think for a minute. Okay. I was going to say, so some of you know, but most of you don't, I'm working on this book. And these are visions that I had all through the Venus cycle, Gemini cycle from 2004 to 2012. And it's also about the return to balance, which I wrote about a little bit in here today, and why that's so important. And also just my own soul's reclamation of what I came here to do and what I came here to transform. And when I was young and I was raised Episcopal and we went to church, it wasn't dogmatic. I was not raised in a dogmatic family, religious family, but we did go. And I did have a lot of light around me from my grandmother. And I can remember sitting in church thinking, really, is this really it? Like, this is really the whole truth, and not really sure about it. Something didn't quite resonate and feel right, and I definitely had other components about the feminine, about Mary Magdalene and stuff come up back then, but I didn't really understand any of it. And why am I saying all this? Just to say that there's such a rich lineage, feminine lineage, that that story has not been told. I mean, it's been told many times by many people, or many people are working on it and writing about it and doing a lot of amazing work about it. Um, but I'm just saying, as a collective, there's still a lot of denial and disconnection from the truth, the whole truth. And it kind of keeps us like encapsulated, like in this crystallization. And you know, Sagittarius is like cosmological knowledge, gnosis. And then Capricorn in the patriarchal age is like this tight construct that wants to keep dominion. And if you want to talk about evil or darkness, I mean, that would be it, like keeping things tight and small when there's so much bigger consciousness to be had. So anyway, if you're interested in my classes, you know, reach out to me. You can find me on these different locations, and I will post in the comments where you can find my where you can get a hold of me, or where you can sign up on the Patreon page, because it doesn't have I don't think this link is going to work on the video. Maybe it will. I'll put it on the video, I guess. All right, thank you so much. Have a blessed day, blessed life. Be mindful and safe during this Uranus Pluto North Node conjunction. And, you know, the last week of July, first week of August is very, very energetically full. So the more you can practice grounding and mindfulness, and you will be better off, and you will be helping the collective navigate these very interesting times. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Next video, I'm going to talk about the shadow of our current age and go into those dynamics so that we can start learning about how to collectively move out of that with more consciousness.